Today's great episode is another in the mindset series. I have my tag team partner on this one, Mandy McAllister, who's awesome. We have a lot of fun doing this because we really believe in the mindset aspect of things. Today, we talk about taking action and how important taking action is in facing your fears and moving forward. As always, we give actionable steps and give our opinion about how we feel like we can take action and move forward. So hope you guys enjoy this. As always, like and subscribe on Wrestling with Real Estate, the YouTube channel. Go to the WWRE podcast and give me a 5-star rating and write me a review if you think it's worthy, and it's definitely worthy. And I'm looking to, again, speak to as many of you as possible. If you're interested in real estate, if you're interested in mindset, I would love to have a conversation with you, see if there's any way whatsoever I can help. So there's a link in the description below, or go to wrestlingwithrealestate.com, the website, and sign up there. But today, listen to this one and figure out how you can take more action. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barry Griffiths. Now today we're joined by the lovely Mandy McAllister again today. It's my pleasure to have you here today. How are you doing today?
Oh, hi, Barry. I'm just living the dream. Thanks for having me.
You're always living the dream, man. I love that. I love that. Part of the mindset there, right? You've got to kind of believe it. So anyway, but today me and Mandy are going to do another in the series of the mindset series that we absolutely love. We originally did this when we started talking in the prior interview, and we both realized that we love the mindset component of stuff, and we realized how important it was, and we came together and collaborated in this. So I'm very thankful for you for doing this, and I think we both love it. So I'm excited for today.
Me too. So proud to
So with that in mind, the mindset series, what is today's mindset series going to be about?
We're going to talk about taking action today, Barry. So a quote that I actually have on my vision board right up above me is, avoidance doesn't extinguish fear, action does. And for me, that is so true, that whenever anything is scary, old Mandy used to just, shove it down and try to avoid it. But as soon as I run at something head on and go deal with it, I realize it's not so scary, and I can handle it and I can take care of it. So if I just can take whatever next right step there is towards whatever seems scary, then, that's when fear disappears for me. What about for you in terms of action taking?
One, I love that quote. That quote is amazing. I think, that quote is really cool. And I think it just kind of explains it all there, right? In simple terms. And I'll put that in the description below for anyone who wants to tattoo it on their arm or whatever. But yeah, I agree. And, I always find that I create these situations in my head. Sometimes I'm guilty of creating these situations in my head of why not to do stuff, procrastination. Mm. I'll even throw laziness in there sometimes, but fear of I don't know all kinds of consequences. But the moment you take that action and that first step, whatever it is, right? And the first step is usually the hardest for me. But once you take that action, you realize that all those things that you've created aren't really that bad. And usually it works out a lot better than you think it is. But taking that action kind of moves you forward away from that fear, right? And it's again, I'm horrible at remembering quotes, but there's a quote that all your hopes and dreams are on the other side of your uncomfortableness, right? You've got to step into that uncomfortableness, right? If you always stay in comfort, you're never going to grow, and you're never going to get to your dreams, I don't think, unless you're lucky or whatever it is, right? But I think that was interesting that you said that, and I felt this myself, that you said old Mandy would, kind of go to avoidance, right? And maybe not take that action. But how do you think you transitioned into, like, now you're a machine, I'd say, right? You're awesome. You're killing it, right? You're just like making all these amazing moves. But how do you didn't just get to that point, right? What do you think it was that transitioned you to that?
I got to tell you, I think just like anything, it's a muscle, right? That, old Mandy was very comfortable in, not running at problems. And the more I realized that, well, let's just dissect whatever this problem is. Let's, this happened in my day job a week ago. Okay, we've got this big problem that's going to be this big issue. All right, let's quantify it. This might happen once in the next 6 months. So let's take these steps to try to figure out how we're going to get around it, control what we can control, and it's not going to be as big an issue as we think. We don't need to curl up in the fetal position. So, you know, for me personally, I still do it. I got an offer to give a talk at a women's inspirational thing because of someone I met out of Australia. So it's kind of a big deal, and it's a big step on the way to giving a TED Talk, which is a huge life goal of mine. And I didn't email this lady back for like 3 days, you know? So for me, at least, if I take a look at all of the stuff that I don't do when I should do it, it boils down to a fear, or am I going to measure up, right? And the moment that I dive in and take that action that I know that I need to take, then it gets exciting again. So I sent her an email first thing this morning, don't worry, Barry. And, you know, now it's a super exciting thing that I get to build on, and I've got some planning stuff ahead of me. So, you know, it doesn't stop the, you know, need to force yourself to take action, but, you know, it does get easier because it's a muscle.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that's such a good point, I think, is like, try and understand where that fear stems from, right? So whatever you're scared of taking action, right? Try and understand there's a reason for it, right? We don't just get scared for no reason whatsoever. We don't take no action for no reason whatsoever, right? We all got up this morning. We all probably brushed our teeth. We all had breakfast. We all did these things, right? Because there was no fear behind it. There was no real consequences behind it, right? So you've got to try and understand what that fear is. And that's helped me to kind of, at times, to try and understand why. Was it going back to a previous episode, the limiting beliefs, right? Was it the limiting belief that brought that on to me? Was it me saying, no, I can't do this. No, I shouldn't be doing this. No, I have that imposter syndrome. No, I don't belong in this group of people, or, you know, doing whatever it is, right? And I think, you know, it's going to be different for everyone, and it's going to be different for almost every situation. But at least if you're able to analyze that situation and take that second to think, God, I don't want to do that, right? That's probably most of our first reaction, something along those lines. If you take that second to then think, okay, why don't I want to do that? Because if we go, God, I don't want to do that, I'm going to run away. I'm going to do something else. No, I'm not doing that, right? That's going to only result in one thing. But if we take that second and try and realize, why do we think that? Why does that make us feel like we can't do it and we don't want to do it? And then you can analyze it from there and try and break it down. Like you said, with your work problem, you quantified it, right? You try to understand what it was and what it looked like. And then, you know, what actions can I take to go and take action and move forward through that, right? Would you agree? Is that something that
Totally agree. And I'll say, let's make this a little actionable. What you just said made it very actionable. Let's take that one step further. So when I'm deciding what to do on a day, I sit down and I have time blocked, and I figure out what my plan is in terms of, these are the outcomes that I need to achieve today. I need to, you know, make my son feel loved. I need to move forward this initiative in my day job. I need to, you know, make my investors feel that they understand what's going on in our Indianapolis portfolio. So in terms of those outcomes, then, you know, what is the next right step, and whatever thing I don't want to do, there's usually some sort of internal struggle associated with it. So that is the one I make myself do first, because it's the old Brian Tracy, eat that frog, right? That if you can just get done with the first big scary thing, then everything else is going to be easier. So break it down into executable small little bites. And even if it's just one tiny little step, if it seems insurmountable, if it seems like it's too big of a thing to take on, then what is 1/8 of that? What is one little baby step? Because momentum will happen for you.
Yeah, so true. And I'll put another spin on that. So you said do the hardest thing first, right? Which works for a lot of people. But for me, and I'll be honest, I always start with the easiest thing, because a lot of times if it's the hardest thing, I'll be like, oh, can I do this? Or I don't really feel like it, or whatever it is, right? But if I start with the most simplest thing, and so, truthfully, some days it's just as simple as opening my computer and putting up whatever I need to do on the screen. I tell myself, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to pull it up, put it on the screen, and look at it. And once I've kind of done that, I'm like, okay, all I need to do is write this email or input this information, right? It's nothing hard, but I fight myself sometimes for whatever reason that is.
Right.
And I think that small, for me, and so the reason I'm saying this, there's more than one way, there's always more than one way. And I know a lot of people, they get a lot of value from doing the hardest things first, right? Do the hardest things, because once you've done the hardest thing, it's easy from there, right? The next thing is less hard or easier than that, and then it gets easier and easier and easier. For me, I always build up the other way. I do the easiest, simplest thing first, because like you said there, momentum is amazing. It's amazing what you can do when you realize you've done something and you get that satisfaction from doing it. You get the feeling of, okay, I did that, and on to the next one and on to the next one. And it's absolutely amazing. So I think more than anything, you can do it either way, right? Start with the hardest thing or start with the easiest thing, but just start. Yeah. And kind of get that ball rolling, right? It really gets that. And something that, this is probably going to lead into another one of the mindset series, is that having your goals and dreams and everything that you want to achieve written down, vision boards, all that good stuff really helps, because when you don't feel like doing it, and if you just think like, okay, I don't feel like doing it, I'm scared, whatever, right? And this is what I tell myself a lot of times, is like, when I don't feel like doing something, or I'm scared of doing it, or whatever it is like, okay, but what is the opportunity cost of this? Is this costing me not to do it, right? It's costing me time with my son. It's costing me vacations that we can go on. It's costing me living the life that I see for myself living. And I literally tell myself that, and I still battle sometimes still to do it, but having those thoughts really helps as well. And, you know, I'm sure we'll go into goal setting and vision boards and all that in another one, but I think that can really help with taking action, right, as well, because you're taking action for a reason. Now, it's great to take action to fight your fears and to move forward and to feel great about yourself and to grow and everything like that. But ultimately, I think if we have those goals and aspirations that can drive us forward, right? And that, you know, we'll get into how to figure that out, because it's important you have the right ones. If you just set a random goal, it's not always going to drive you forward.
Got to move you. Totally agree. But I think the crux to all of this is whenever it's a law of physics, inertia, right? That any object in motion will stay in motion. Any object that is still will stay still. Mm-hmm. So if you're still and you don't want to be still, do one thing and the inertia will pull you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you always put the actionable steps. You always talk about but it's important, right? Because I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and you know, if we just talked about today, just take action. Okay, cool. Take action. Okay, sounds great, right? It's true, right? And it is true, but what does that even mean? What does that even look like? So I think some actionable steps that people can take is today, for example, just find something that you can start. Try and understand you as a person. Do you want to start with the easiest, or do you want to start with the hardest? Doesn't matter. As long as you start, get that, like you said, once in action, and once you get that ball rolling, the ball is rolling, and it's harder to get it to stop, right? It's that thing. And try and understand maybe what those fears are and what's stopping you from taking action, right? Would you agree? What would you suggest to someone today who's having trouble taking action in the right direction?
Yeah, I gotta say that if there is a big dream, if there is a big goal that you know that you see in your mind's eye for your life, and you haven't been moving forward towards it in the way that you'd want, spend some time thinking, get quiet and figure out, you know, is there a why? Is there that fear that Barry referenced? Is there one tiny little step that you know, in my accountability group that I lead, there was a woman who, you know, she wants to journal, but she always beats herself up that she never writes enough in her journal. All right, well, then let's make it a habit to write 3 words per day. What is something that is so incredibly digestible that you can make yourself proud? So, you know, figure out that big thing and then make it the tiniest step possible. And the minute you make yourself proud, the more action you're going to want to take.
Yeah, phenomenal. Great book on that, The One Thing. I don't know if you read it. I love that book.
Oh, yeah.
I need to go back and read it.
Gary Keller, yeah. What's the one thing that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? Changed my life.
Yeah, so cool. Well, cool. Another really cool episode on mindset. I really hope this helps people, right? And for me personally, I don't know about you, if I help one person, and I know it helps me, these things really help me as well to kind of talk about this stuff. So hopefully a lot of people got some value out of it. Before we go, I'm sure everyone agrees that Mandy is awesome. But if you guys want to reach out and hear more about what Mandy is doing, and maybe just reach out and have a conversation with her, how can they get in touch with you?
Best way to find me is mandymcallister.com or on our Facebook group, Aspiring Women Achieving More.
Awesome. Thank you so much for today again. It was really cool.
Thank you, Barry.